Hey guys, what's up? I'm traveling again, so I've been posting a few videos, trying to keep the glare out of my glasses. There, it's not doing too good. I'm on my cell phone. I don't normally use this to take talking to you videos, but we'll try it anyway. So I'm traveling. I'm in a hotel. There's the window. It's raining. There's the rest of the room. Oop, there's the TV. CNN, Clinton News Network, as they call it. Let's see if we got a good vantage point here without the TV. That's not bad. I like this angle. So, anyway, I'm traveling again. As I told you, I've been having to travel a lot lately for the job, and it's just one of those things. I do it. So, I mean, place down south. This is my third night out. I'm in Hampton Inn. It's a pretty nice place. Pretty nice room. It's all right. Door sticks, but that's all right. So anyway, I was reading through some comments tonight. I'm doing this video actually on the same night that I'm going to upload it. I've been uploading some other stuff, but I've had on the phone for a while. But I'm going to do this one tonight, so it's nice and fresh. So anyway, I was reading through one of the comments, and somebody asked me about, I think it's one of those HEI conversion videos. Oops. And they asked me, why didn't I convert the points? I really didn't. When I did those, I really didn't. I did two of them. I didn't have an idea to change the points, ignition, or anything like that. It's kind of hard to do. I have to drop the camera. When I did them, I think my idea was the one truck. The one truck just had a standard. Um, no, you know what? They were both lane burn. The pickup, the '83 Dodge truck, I did one on. And I did one on that '87 Plymouth Fury, and he asked me that about converting points. I had no intention of converting points, but I just wanted to get what I thought at the time was going to be a more simplified and more reliable ignition system for both of those vehicles. And the first one went okay. Well, the truck did pretty good, but the one on the Grand Fury was anything but simple and anything but reliable. So I want to kind of give you some closure about that car and its ignition system. What it ended up doing may surprise you, but the first one I did on the truck, it worked good. It was sort of a first one I ever did, where you have to get together the module and you have to get a heat sink and you have to do all the wiring and stuff like that. And I just sort of straight wired that one into the 12-volt B plus, which came on with the ignition system in the truck, and it worked pretty good. In fact, it worked better than the second one. But the second one, when I did the one on the Fury, went to a lot more effort on it, and so used a new module. I used a brand well. Start out with I used a cheap module, HEI module, 4-prong module, and I used a used coil out of the junkyard and got a harness. This time I used heavy gauge wire, and then I got a relay box from a Ford Explorer. I think it was on one. I got two of them. One was from a Ford Explorer, and one was from a Crown Vic. I ended up using, I think, the Explorer because I had two. I had a 30 amp and a 60 or 70 amp relay in it. So it worked out good. So I went to all this trouble to get this thing wired correctly with a relay so that it didn't have any power problems. That's the way you're supposed to do it. You got to have a constant duty relay for that. So soldered everything, man, and just went to town on the thing. Got it all in there, and it started ran just fine when I first started trying it out. And this was on the Fury, and so drove that car around the house, around town, running errands and stuff, and it seemed to do fine, man. And no problems with it. Started right up. I had some carburetor problems, which I had to get through that, and then it seemed to run good. So I think the first place I drove that car after I got it together with the HEI system on it was to the car show, which we just had the latest one, but this was a year ago, the 2018, the Tennessee Valley Mopar car show. So I parked it and sat there for 3, 4, 5 hours, whatever it was, probably about 4 hours in the sun with the hood open. And so when it came time to leave, I got all my stuff together, packed the car up, and got in to start it, and it wouldn't start. It just spin, 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 spin. And I noticed it hit one time. It went, and that was it. It's all she wrote. So, I was at a loss. I thought, well, everything's done right on this. That was I have no ignition. Some guy offered me some starting fluid, and I thought, oh man, this starting fluid ain't gonna fix this. But so, to my huge embarrassment, I had to be towed out of the car show on a rollback. I don't know if I told you guys. I think I did on one little video or something. But so anyway, I'd parked it for a couple of weeks. I was just disgusted with it. So I was trying to think through about what was going on. So I thought, well, here's the deal. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy a Delco module this time. I'm going to order one, and I'm going to order a brand new ignition coil for it. I'm going to go back through all my connections. So I did all that, and it started up and ran. Every time I'm driving around my town, and it just started up just perfectly, no problems, just fine, And we're just talking about short trips. So I thought, okay, I think I've got this thing resolved, and let me add into this that people say, well, you need to get a Made in USA Delco module. Let me tell you something. There are no more Made in USA Delco modules unless you dig one out of a 35-year-old or 40-year-old distributor in the junkyard. They don't make them here anymore. So don't say that. They don't make them here anymore. The one I got was from Singapore. That's what Delco has been reduced to. So if you go buy Delco stuff and you think you're getting quality from here in America, it ain't happening. So I did all this. So I set out on a road trip to Huntsville, and I went to the bank. So I went into the bank and was in there about 20 minutes, conducting my business, had talked to somebody to help me with an account service. It came back out, and same deal. Got in, started the key. It went, nothing, man. I sat there, started it 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row, just nothing. It would not hit a lick. So I pumped the gas a little bit, and didn't do anything. Then finally, I don't know what it was. I started realizing what was going on. I tried it like the last time I had to try it. Just look around on it for about 5 seconds. And when I let off of it, it caught and just before it stopped turning, it caught and ran. And so I took off, and I think I made a couple more stops. And I ended up having to fight the stupid thing every time like that. I'd have to start it, and if it didn't just start right up, then I'd have to just spin it just a little bit and let off, spin a little bit until it caught right at the end when I was letting off the key switch. Now, I know first thing folks are going to say, you kind of knee-jerk, I don't not being mean about it, but they say, oh, that's your ignition switch. This is going bad. It's in your no, I tested all that thoroughly. It had power the whole time, everywhere it's supposed to be. It was nothing to do with the ignition switch. So finally, I never did drive that car much over the past year. I just let it sit because I was so disgusted. It was so unreliable, man. It would not start reliably. When it was hot, when it heat soaked, it just would not start reliably to save its life, and I just was so mad at it. I went all this trouble to build this HEI system on it, and it sucked. So Phil bought that car from me in February, and I had just basically let it sit around a little bit. Well, sit around and drove it just enough to keep it battery charged. And he was going to come up and get it, so I thought, well, I got to get this thing reliable. I can't just turn him loose in it with it doing that. So when I scrapped out that green Plymouth, that Valiant, I kept the factory Mopar ignition system off of it with the box, the ECU box, and the valve resistor, and all that, and all the wiring. So I spent about another 3 or 4 days rebuilding rebuilding the wiring harness on that, to adapt to that car. So that's what I did. I ripped that HEI system off that Grand Fury and threw it in the garbage. I didn't actually throw it in the garbage, threw it in a box because I had some money and all that stuff, and I didn't want to just pitch it, but threw it all off there. Mounted up had changed the coil because the one that was with a lean burn, which I had just abandoned in place when I put the HEI on it, would not work with a standard ignition. So changed out the coil, put another round coil in it, and mounted the box, mounted the valve resistor on the fender, ran all the wiring, hooked it up. Never had another problem with it. Worked perfectly. And I never could tell any difference in the starting or the power level, anything between either of those ignitions. So no more. If it's got a factory Chrysler ignition on it, I'm leaving it. I'm not changing it. It's not worth it to me. And I guess you could say that it was probably not so much the HEI system, but it would not work on that car. What I think was going on was the Chrysler systems or the electrical systems are so shaky on them that when I was trying to start it, it was just drawing so much power to try to run the starter that it would not supply enough power to run the ignition system mode. So at least on one of those, nope. So it'll be either the Chrysler ignition system or points. And that's an interesting topic too about points. One point I want to make is you see that a lot. People, when they buy an old car, first thing they do, they start throwing electronic ignition, the Pertronics on it. And I could have done that, but I thought to myself, why in the world would I want to do something to change my ignition system from points where if they burn or something goes wrong with them, I can either file the points, replace the points right there on the side of the road, or replace a condenser, something like that, and I'm on my way again, as opposed to one of these Pertronics or some similar unit like that. Putting electronic on it, what are you going to do if that electronic thing zaps and goes out? You're going to be sitting there. You're going to be towed. So I'm not doing that. I'm not upgrading the points. I think people have the wrong idea about stuff like that. They think that it's helping them, and I don't think so. When you can go out and you can start a 50-year-old car on a set of points just by cleaning them, man, I'm convinced. So anyway, guys, we're in about 13 minutes, and that's about enough for this video. So I'm going to go ahead and post this, and it's good talking to y'all again. And so sorry that the work is cutting into my fun time, but it's just what I got to do. Got to pay the bills. And I got some parts ordered for the Chrysler. No problem with that car. And parts ordered for the Cub Cadet mower. So we're going to be getting into those and getting into the Plymouth also. So I got 3 projects just waiting on me to get back there. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one. See you. Okay, what's going on here? I don't want to zoom. I want to turn you off. Come on. Come on. Try this way.